Once upon a time in the big, bright city of Lagos, there lived a young woman named Nnanna. Ada was the only daughter of Chief Nnanna, one of the richest men in Nigeria. People spoke his name with respect, and everywhere Ada went, doors opened. She was treated like a princess, not just because of her beauty, but because of her father's wealth. Ada's world was filled with luxury. Her bedroom was so large that her voice echoed when she spoke. The floor shone like glass. Her bed was soft like clouds, covered in golden sheets, and her closet was stacked with clothes and shoes from all over the world. Outside, cars with polished silver wheels waited for her command. If she wanted ice cream from Paris, it was flown in. If she wanted to see snow, her private jet took her there. Ada had everything she could ever dream of. But even with all that, Ada had one flaw: she was proud. She believed money made her better than everyone else. If someone didn't dress well or didn't speak English like her, she thought they were beneath her. Even at her father's company, workers feared her. They bowed when she passed, afraid she might scold them for something small. Her father, Chief Nnanna, loved Ada deeply. He wanted her to understand that kindness mattered more than pride. One afternoon he called her to his office. The room smelled of old books and wood polish. He looked at her quietly for a long time, then said, "Ada, my daughter, pride is like fire. If you carry it too long, it will burn you." Ada smiled and brushed his words aside. "Daddy," she said, "I'm not proud. I'm just confident. People respect those who have power." Her father sighed and looked out the window. "Everything can go wrong, my daughter, if pride blinds you." Months later, Chief Nnanna became very sick. Ada visited him at the hospital, but instead of sitting quietly by his side, she complained about the hospital food, shouted at the nurses, and argued with the doctors. "Why is this room so small?" she cried. "My father deserves better." The old man only smiled weakly. He reached for her hand and whispered, "My daughter, remember what I told you?" But Ada didn't listen. She was too angry to hear. When Chief Nnanna finally passed away, the whole country mourned him. People filled the streets to pay their last respects. The air was heavy with sorrow. But when Ada arrived at the funeral, she wore a shiny gold dress and dark glasses. She didn't greet the elders or the family friends who had come to honor her father. She walked straight past them like a queen among servants. People whispered, "This girl has no respect." After the funeral, Ada became the head of her father's company. She felt powerful sitting behind his big mahogany desk. But power made her pride grow even stronger. She fired the old workers who had served her father for years, calling them slow and useless. In their place, she hired her rich friends, people who didn't know much about business. At home, she shouted at her driver for being too slow, scolded the cook for serving the same meal twice, and even insulted Mama Grace, her father's loyal housekeeper. Mama Grace never shouted back. She would only say softly, "My daughter, pride is like smoke. It fills your eyes until you can't see the truth." Ada rolled her eyes. "Mama Grace, that's old talk. Times have changed." But the old woman only shook her head. For a while, Ada's life still looked perfect. She threw big parties with bright lights, loud music, and famous guests. Laughter filled the mansion every weekend. Expensive champagne flowed like water. To everyone watching, she was living a dream. But behind the glitter, trouble had already begun. One day, a call came from one of her company managers. "Madam, a big deal has gone wrong. The investors are pulling out." Ada laughed it off. "Relax. I'll find new investors." But she didn't. A week later, another contract failed. The company started losing millions. Her friends told her not to worry, so she didn't. She kept spending. She still bought new cars, still traveled, still posted smiling pictures online. But deep inside, her business was sinking fast. Soon, her manager returned again, panic in his voice. "Madam, the bank wants payment for the loan." Ada frowned. "Tell them to wait. We're rich." But the truth was different. Her father had borrowed money for the company before he died. Ada didn't know. Now the time had come to pay, and she had nothing left. One early morning, her phone rang. "Good morning, madam," a cold voice said. "This is the bank. Your accounts have been frozen due to unpaid debts." Ada froze. "What? That's impossible." She ran to her office, shouting at her accountant, but the man only looked down and said, "It's true, ma. The company is broke." Her hands shook as she opened her laptop. The screen flashed headlines in bold letters. "Nnanna Empire in Crisis." Her heart pounded. She threw her phone across the room. The echo filled the silence of her giant mansion. For the first time, she felt a strange fear, a fear money couldn't fix. Days later, men in black suits arrived. "We're here from the bank," they said. We must take the cars. Ada ran outside, her voice breaking. No. You can't take them. They're mine. But one by one her cars were towed away. Her favorite red sports car, the one she used to show off, was gone. A week later more men came. Madam, one said quietly, your house is being taken for auction. Ada's legs went weak. She stumbled through the empty halls, the same halls that once echoed with laughter and music. No, please. This is my father's house, she cried. But no one listened. Within days her mansion was empty. The chandeliers were gone, the art taken off the walls, the gates locked. Her friends stopped answering her calls. The people who once bowed before her now whispered behind her back. At night, she sat alone on the cold floor, hugging a framed photo of her father. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Daddy, she whispered, I didn't listen. The next morning Mama Grace found her sitting there, her eyes red and tired. She knelt beside her and said softly, My child, when the wind blows, a tree without roots will fall. Let's go home, to the village. Ada nodded weakly. Together, they packed the few clothes she had left and boarded a dusty bus heading to her father's village. The road was long and bumpy. For the first time in her life, Ada traveled without bodyguards, without a driver, and without luxury. She sat quietly beside Mama Grace, staring out the window as the city lights faded behind them. The village was small, quiet, and full of green fields. Chickens ran across the path. Children laughed and played in the dust. The air smelled of firewood and palm oil. Ada looked around in silence. This was the same place she once called dirty. Now it was her new home. They stayed in a small one-room house. The roof leaked when it rained and the bed was hard. Every morning, Ada woke up early to fetch water with Mama Grace. The buckets were heavy but she didn't complain. She helped cook, sweep and wash clothes. The villagers stared in surprise. Is that not the rich man's daughter? Some whispered. Yes, others said, she's here now, carrying water like us. One afternoon as Ada carried a bucket from the stream, a little girl ran to her, smiling. Auntie Ada, you carry water just like me? Ada smiled softly. Yes, my dear. We are the same now. The little girl giggled and ran off, her laughter echoing in the wind. That night, Ada sat outside under the moonlight. The stars were bright and the village was peaceful. For the first time in her life, her heart felt calm. Weeks passed and Ada began to change. She started helping other villagers, teaching children how to read, helping widows count their money, and telling stories about her father. The villagers grew to love her. She smiled more, laughed more, and found joy in small things. One evening, while cleaning her old bag, Ada found a folded letter. Her hands trembled as she opened it. It was her father's handwriting. My dear Ada, if you are reading this, it means I'm no longer by your side. Remember, pride will not keep you warm when the night is cold. Be kind, my child. Kindness lasts longer than money. Ada pressed the letter to her heart, tears shining in her eyes. I understand now, Daddy, she whispered. I really do. From that day she lived differently. She stopped thinking about what she lost and started giving what she had, her time, her love, her kindness. Years later, Ada built a small school in the village. She called it Grace Academy, after Mama Grace, who never gave up on her. Children came from nearby villages to learn. Every morning Ada welcomed them with a smile. She taught them not only to read and write, but to be humble and kind. When people asked about her past, she would smile and say, I once thought money was everything. But love, kindness, and humility are the real treasures. The villagers respected her deeply. The little girl who once laughed at her grew up to be one of her brightest students. And on quiet evenings, when the wind blew through the trees, the villagers could still hear Mama Grace's gentle voice saying, Pride fills your eyes, but kindness opens your heart. Ada never became rich again, but her heart was richer than ever. And so, the story of Ada Nnanna spread far and wide, the proud daughter who lost everything but found herself. Because pride may shine for a moment, but kindness shines forever. This story tells us that money and riches can fade like dust in the wind, but a good heart shines forever. True wealth lives not in what we own, but in how we love, forgive, and lift others. Only kindness leaves a light that never fades. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.